It is October 8th at noon. This is the BUEA meeting, Bloomington Urban Enterprise Association meeting for October 8th, 2025. Take it away, Heather.
All right, welcome everyone on this beautiful day in our fine city. It's absolutely lovely fall weather, so thanks for being here, everyone. As is customary, we will start with a roll call and around the room. So Phil, if you'd like to start, please.
Phil Anderson, BUEA.
Michael Hover, BUEA.
Kate Rosenbarger, BUEA.
Heather Robinson, BUEA.
Jane Cooper-Smith, BUEA.
Mary Morgan, BUEA. Dee Della Rosa, BUEA SD.
Cheryl Gilliland, Controller's Office.
Lisa Spinelli, BUEA.
And we have some
And guests in the room.
guests in the room. John.
John Zodi with CDFI Friendly Bloomington.
Avon Woodville, Deal Fellow.
Julius Mitchell from the Office of the Mayor.
Strolla Helm, Foundation for Monroe County Community Schools. Lily Albright, the Director of Elementary Education in Monroe County Community School Corporation.
And Alex Braxton.
All right, welcome everyone. Thank you all again so much for being here. We need an approval of minutes from the September meeting. Were there any comments, corrections, questions on the minutes? If none, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second, please.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, we do. Sorry. Yeah, we have online, so we'll need to do a roll call around the room. Phil?
Phil Anderson, yes.
Michael Hover, yes.
Kate Rosenbarger, yes.
Virginia Githeri? I guess yes.
Minutes.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Heather Robinson, yes.
Jane Cooper-Smith, yes.
Mary Morgan, yes.
Lisa Spinelli, yes.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. Dee, it looks like we have some guest presentations today.
We do. First, we have John Zodi from CDFI Friendly to give his report while I get this screen shared.
Did you bring snacks?
I did.
No way. He brought snacks.
So, Virginia.
Hi,
You
John.
probably don't want to see these again, but here you go. So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm John Zodi. I'm the Executive Director. Do we have anybody that's gluten-free? Is anybody gluten-free? Anyway, so I'm John Zodi. I'm the Executive Director of CDFI Friendly Bloomington. We are a regional organization, and I'll say, as for those at home or online, I'm passing out popcorn that we handed out at our event last night that the BUEA helped sponsor and support, and local business, Dr. Githeri from Popcorn with a Twist on college. So we had extra and I brought it with me, so enjoy. Enjoy snacks during my presentation.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well done. Well
yeah. Yeah, I teed it up.
Way to keep it proud.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I just have a short presentation. I know you've got a full agenda, so I'll be quick and be happy to answer any questions from you all when I'm finished. So Dee, you can head to the next slide there if you want. So what are CDFIs? Just a reminder, I think most folks in this group know, and I want to say hello to Ms. Spinelli online. She was in attendance last night, and thank you for coming. So a community development financial institution, or CDFI, is a mission-based lender whose job it is to help unlock financing for people or places that have not previously had access to it in towns and cities and counties all around the United States. Typically, the CDFI community will assist those who might be lower income, may have troubles starting a business, building an affordable housing project, investing in childcare. So the CDFIs are a tool in the community development toolbox, and they're a $500 billion sector of financing here in our country. And so what does the friendly mean? A lot of people ask that. So we were created to be a hub. So we serve a 13 county region here in South Central Indiana, Monroe County, and 12 counties around it. And so our job is to bring investment and interest from CDFIs and other community development investors into this region. My job is to kind of be a cheerleader for the region and say, hey, look at this housing project, look at this small business, look at this child care facility, and come here and think about investing in it. Here are the local partners involved. Here's what we need to do to try to get this done. Can you help us? And just to be clear, this is loan financing. It's not grants, but if you can secure the stack of financing that is in place for a project, that can be enhanced with grants, and maybe that makes a loan a little easier so that there's a financial stack that's more palatable for the project. So as a mission-based lender, we do those things, and part of that job, and Jane will speak to this as my predecessor, not speak to it, but you'll know this. A big part of that job is providing technical assistance. So as a community development financial institution, we are one, but we provide technical assistance. So if we're trying to get a project to financing, we will work with that potential borrower and look at their budget, look at their business plan, whatever it is related to the project, and help them with some technical things with numbers or a communication, or how they want to present this project to a potential lender. And so part of that is providing that technical assistance. We've done 218 hours so far of technical assistance for projects in Bloomington and the region. About 60% of that has been with projects within the city of Bloomington. Bloomington's very busy and there's a lot going on here. I don't have to tell the city of Bloomington that, but certainly a lot of activity. And historically, CDFIs have not always been present. And so a couple of numbers that put that into sharp focus is that if you spread CDFI financing out across the United States per resident over basically the first 20 years of this century, you're going to get a $714 number back on the per head investment from a CDFI. In Indiana during that time, it was only $169. In our region, it was $22 a person. We're now approaching $50 in this region. That number is close to, well, it's doubled thereabouts. But that tells you that there are what are called deserts of investment for community development across the country. So CDFIs historically have invested very heavily in larger cities, obviously population centers there. There's a lot of business, a lot of housing, that kind of thing. But rural areas have been tougher. Smaller cities have been tougher. And it's harder to do stuff there because there aren't the programs that exist in smaller communities that exist sometimes in larger cities. And so there just isn't the financial base there sometimes. And so trying to get that amped up, basically, we are kind of a CDFI desert in southern Indiana. And so our job to be that hub to bring that investment in is to help get that number up. So that's what we're working to do. So since our creation, we've seen about $26 million of CDFI investment, additional CDFI investment come into the region to help impact 371 housing units. That's affordable housing created or retained. That's larger multifamily projects, smaller multifamily projects. I'll end with the latest project that's been finished. And that totals about $57 million in project costs. So total project investment in the region since 2018 or so. And so I just want to thank the BUEA. You provided us with lending capital as well as financial support for operations. I want to tell you that as things get tougher over the next couple of years, and we've tried to be thoughtful about how we're doing that. We're trying to stretch that money over a couple of years. It was a $250,000 operational support. And so we didn't use all that at once. We're not using it all at once. We're trying to say we're going to use this much this year and that much. And so as the years come, we'll continue to keep you updated about that. But we are trying to stretch those dollars out. And that lending capital, we invested in projects to help in multifamily affordable housing in and around the urban enterprise zone. So big news this year is we got certified. Jane started this process for us. So we received a technical assistance grant a few years ago that put us on a path to get certified. Before Jane left, she started laying the groundwork for that. And I'm not sure I do have to point out, if you've dealt with federal money and federal regulation, you laid a lot of groundwork on the regulatory side for us. So you put a lot of stuff in place that helped us through that process. So, so you may not have known.
I feel like I was weak on the fundraising, but if I helped with compliance.
You did. There was a ton of federal stuff that you teed up both for a couple of grants. So anyway, so the certification process for the U.S. Treasury CDFI fund is sort of a vetting process. So there are 1,400 CDFIs in the country that are certified. We became certified in July. And that helps us build relationships with banks. It does, gives us literally that sort of stamp being certified that we've met certain criteria as a community development mission-based lending organization. So we were happy that got done. It took a few months, but moved faster than we thought. So,
Will
go ahead.
that your friendly status will be? I mean, are you going to change the name to be just CDFI?
No, we think we're going to stay friendly. We'll always be friendly.
That tracks.
At least for the time being. So what that means, that friendly, we were not set up to be a direct lender. We were set up to bring loans in. But because of the capital that was provided to us by this organization and the Redevelopment Commission, we are able to participate. So part of that friendly model is also to help put money in, sort of put some skin in the game locally. So we do have those loan funds that we can participate with. If we wanted to do direct loans, we would have to engage underwriting services and things like that, which we're talking about doing. But right now we'll be mostly that sort of matchmaker plus a partnering lender before we would go into direct loans. So
I liked the way the speaker last night, the first woman, I forgot her name.
Aspen
talked about the complexity of capital stacks for housing development projects having 9 or 10 components to them, and some of them are big and some of them are small. And so I think that just highlighted for me that you having these capital funds available really can make or break a project, even if it's not the bulk of the financing.
Sure, it's true. And sort of part of our technical assistance process helps sort of put that together. So we were awarded a $300,000 technical assistance grant. Jane totally teed that up for us because she hired the consultant, started the application before she left, and then I finished it, and we were awarded that last fall, and that will take us into that. Helped us this year and will help us next year, and allowed us to hire another staff person. So we have doubled our team, if you will.
That's awesome.
So this year, lots of changes front in the state and federal levels, and advocacy has been a piece of what we do. We're a nonprofit, so we can't make it all of what we do or even a very big percentage, but we have been active in the network of CDFIs and other community development lenders around the country and activists to try to make sure that we are vocal about the importance of community development funding, both at the CDFI fund, which is about a $320 million appropriation every year, in addition to money that impacts community development otherwise with the Department of Housing and Urban Development and other places. So part of this is that when you, sort of our central talking point is that if you look at the federal money from the CDFI fund, every dollar you put in federal gets you $8 back out. And this is not all public money in projects, right? So that 9 or 10 sources that Jane mentioned, some of that is private loan money, some of it is private philanthropy. It's not all public money, and so you're bringing in different sectors here to complete a project. So that federal money is an important sort of catalyzing resource to help get a project done. And so we're currently in a federal shutdown, but we are still pushing for appropriations to the CDFI fund to be made. And that's going well. There's positive direction from where it started. And so one of our senators, Todd Young, has been very helpful with keeping that movement going. CDFIs is a good time to say, they've always had bipartisan support. And so on both sides of the aisle, you get people that understand the importance of CDFIs and what they do. So we're happy for that. So last year, I showed the picture on the left to you. I looked back at my presentation and said, here's the house that's going to be built on the west side of Bloomington. And here's the finished product that just finished at the end of July. So this is a 7-bedroom cooperative housing structure that just opened. That picture was taken July 31st. And so they're done. And you all helped do this. The city helped do this. This was, again, a partnership between our organization, The city of Bloomington they got a grant from the hand department, and then LEAF, a local enterprise and assistance fund, is a CDFI based out of Boston that worked with Bloomington Cooperative Living, and this is actually a separate arm called Avalon Community Land Trust. This is a separate legal entity for this particular house, but still a lot of the same folks involved and sort of the same model of financing that was approached for this. So this is a great innovative way to get cooperative housing, not only in Bloomington, but looking at other ways to do this around the state. There's what's called the Indiana Cooperative Development Center, and Hugh Farrell, who is president of the board for Bloomington Cooperative Living, is also the executive director now of the Cooperative Development Center statewide. So he is trying to get more cooperative housing in place around the state, where, unlike Bloomington, there are not those housing protections for rental housing. And so this is sort of a self-governed model, which works really well here. But we would like to see it other places too, because it's a way to approach affordable housing in communities across the state. So
this is Bloomington Cooperative Living. Bloomington Cooperative.
This is Avalon Community Land Trust. Similarly, it's
but not affiliated.
It is affiliated. It's a separate legal structure.
Okay.
But Hugh's still involved, and a lot of the folks there. It just was a separate. It came together in a different way, but as the same model of cooperative housing. So
exciting, because it says 7 bedrooms, but it's really 7 units. It's 7 unrelated adults who can live here, and it's inherently or sort of organically affordable. So there aren't major federal subsidies driving compliance and construction costs up really high. So it's really a version of something that's just attainable, and so just really inherently low cost. For people without having that compliance burden.
Yep, that's right.
Where is this property?
On West 8th Street. So, Dee, you can head to the next one there if you want. So, that's it. Glad to answer any questions. We're trying to amp up our social media, so give us a follow if you can. And Emma, our program coordinator, is working hard on that. So, we really appreciate the support of the BUEA and all of you individually and all your own different ways. I've got a lot of folks interested in what we're doing, and we appreciate that. So happy to answer any other questions. Or enjoy your popcorn.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
John.
I'll leave this for
You get a popcorn. You get a popcorn.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, thank you, John. Great presentation and great work being done there.
Okay, cool. Thank you, John. Next up, we have Lily and Cyrilla from MCCSC to present their proposal for 25-26. This is annual support that we give to MCCSC for various programs, various education programs.
Should we?
Here, you can sit here, and I'll move over.
Okay, you're right. I'll just slide down here. You're fine, Jake. I'll go seats are on.
Yeah, okay, it's fine.
Okay.
Right here.
Can you sit here?
Yeah, sorry.
A lot of new faces. It's been about a year since we were here, so it's nice to see you all. I'm Cyrilla. I run the foundation for Monroe County, and our offices are adjacent, so we do see each other periodically and bumping. Normally there's an evaluation on last year's. There was a little slowdown in the funds being released. So we didn't actually receive the funds until June this year. So with education, life moves. With legislation, life moves. So some of the things that we had asked for, we cannot purchase. We've had an adoption change in math, so some of that curriculum was math related.
Found solutions in
in this time in between.
So
solutions have changed. So or things have changed inside of that. So the schools, the principals and their teams are working on what's the best use of all of those resources to make sure that they're buying what they need today versus what was asked for a year ago behind that. So because they were all out on summer break at the time that came in. So unfortunately, we didn't get it used, but we're going to get it used. Does that make sense for everybody?
Can I ask what the time frame originally was? Can you remind us when you were expecting to get those funds?
It usually arrives November, December-ish. So just
Usually
some,
December, yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, just some, and no fault of date, I would believe. She and I were working hard.
No, I believe that for sure.
Yeah, just some unfortunate delays. But like I said, it is all there. They are working through that, and with the change in science of reading, some of the materials that may have been used last year, we're now looking at some other sources, things that are coming through the legislation, because now anything in science of anything in literacy has to be approved by what's classified as science of reading. And Lily's way more attuned to that. So I'm going to flip it over to her. She is our she runs elementary. Eric Gilpin is our secondary director now for middle school, and the only middle school inside of here is Tri-North. But Lily's going to go ahead and speak to that. He's at a conference today and wasn't able to make it.
There's a lot of that today. Eric is he owes me. That's what I think. He's going to skip out on several meetings. Yeah. No.
If you want to go to that last summary page, it might just be easier.
Might be a good place. So you're probably all aware, but in the BUEA zone, we have 3 elementaries. So 3 of our 14 elementary schools lie within there. And then 1 middle school. So we're looking at Fairview Elementary, at Summit Elementary, and then Tri-North Middle School, and also Templeton Elementary School. So they've requested similar sorts of materials here. They kind of could be categorized in a few ways. Some materials to support foundational literacy. So I would say at Fairview, that would be the Boost Reading site license, the Developing Decoders, the My Haggerty subscription. Generation Genius is more related to science and social studies, but it's integrated into language arts. So all of those are really language arts and literacy initiatives. Down at Summit, you can see UFly manuals, decodables, novel effect, hand to mind versus tiles, literacy kits, and literacy support for levels and Spanish immersion. At Templeton, those decodables, those are all related to literacy foundation, building literacy foundation skills. And then another category you see across all of them would be library support and just bumping up the library resources that we have available and the titles that we have available to students in our libraries. And you see that again across all 4 schools. You can also see their vertical math supplies. We're employing some strategies in our math classrooms to get students up and out of their seats and working collaboratively in vertical spaces. So when you go into classrooms, you'll see on the wall whiteboards or large Post-it paper, kits filled with markers and Post-it notes and all kinds of things that could be used for groups of students to go to that vertical space and learn about math together. And so all schools are trying to build up their supplies to support that initiative. So this will be really helpful there. You can see that across all the schools, or 3 of the 4 schools. Summit Elementary was using some of their building supplies or building funds to do that. And at Tri-North, finally, you can see PBIS support. PBIS is positive behavior support, so they are intervention and support. So those are things like prizes and certificates and experiences. And I think Fairview has some of that as well. So they have parties, every quarter to celebrate and things like that. And so you're helping to fund some of that. I think last year they had a bounce house, or, they've done things like that to try to encourage students to really be their best at school. So I think that's a pretty good summary of just general overview, and you can read more detail about each specific thing that we're requesting in the grant proposal itself. But I want to make sure that I just also, in addition to answering your questions and providing a brief summary, just express how grateful we are for this opportunity. I really, of course, it's not a surprise, but I'm a huge advocate of public schools, and I truly believe strong schools equals a strong community, and your investment in our schools, I think, supports that belief and philosophy about how we become stronger together. So I think supporting our children is a community effort, and these sorts of partnerships are an example of that. And in these really difficult times, in many ways, but particularly financially, the financial landscape is really challenging right now, just due to legislative mandates and also declining population, really, locally and across the country. These sorts of partnerships are critical to our public schools. So just want to express my gratitude and acknowledge that as well. Anything you'd like to add, Cyrilla, or any questions from
You guys
the
have
group?
questions?
I do, but Heather, do you want to?
Oh, yeah, no, I thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
And truly, I agree, strong schools are strong communities, certainly strong public schools. So I did just want to note that the request from this year is a $25,000 increase over what the past year has been. And I just kind of was flipping back and forth. And it looks like each school has some new things that they're looking for support. And it seems like that relates to the challenges that are being experienced with funding and so forth. So they're really just trying to, in some ways, are they filling some of the need, or are they simply trying to augment some things that maybe aren't otherwise being addressed?
Well, one thing is you see a lot of language arts requests there, and next year if we have the opportunity to present a proposal, I expect it will be a little different because we are 1 year before adopting a new curriculum in language arts. So we're ending our time with one curriculum and getting ready for a new. The old curriculum really isn't meeting all the needs of our students. So we have a gap in our curriculum that we're trying to fill. So that's where you see all that foundational literacy supplies and materials. That's what that's about. And all schools are really challenged with finding ways to fill that gap, and we're working on that. Your support of these schools allows us to redistribute funds and to support other schools in other ways too. So yeah, but that's why, and I suspect next year you'll see a lot less of that because we have some really good curriculums that we're exploring and we'll hopefully be able to adopt for next year.
The decodables are, they're an interesting, I know that our literacy team's done a lot of work on which ones are best, because if you just Google decodable readers, you're going to find a bazillion
All kinds of
products.
companies are trying to get in the game, right?
Yeah, all kinds of them. They do have to be aligned with the science of reading, and so that following that type of mandate has led us into certain paths with who's recommended and who's highly recommended. And the highly recommended, they're not inexpensive. When you look at it, you're like, oh my goodness. But what those have done that I thought was very interesting, and I'm not really an educator, I just have a strong interest in it, is that what those books are doing is their knowledge base. So as they're breaking down words and decoding, they're written to be in a knowledge base experience so that you're not just reading about cat, rat, bat. In order to break those sounds down, they're actually building a knowledge to it that allows them to carry that into maybe social studies or science. So that book may be written about a species of animals. So they're scientific, so they're getting some level of scientific knowledge. So the structure of that particular developing decodables I found to be like super interesting when you look at it and say, it's really doing two different things here. It's helping, and that's kind of, I think, the challenge with literacy has been, is that so much of the model before was just phonics based and how do you just break it down, but without putting an interest in. If you're not interested in what you're reading,
And that context.
giving them context. If they're not interested in it, then they're not. So like what they will tell us, like you see the librarians asking for that 4,000. If you have, let's say, a boy who's interested in snakes and lizards and all these things, if they have a decodable that is hitting that knowledge space of interest, they're gonna take it. They're gonna check that out. And even if they only build one word of vocabulary out of that book, that's a success. So it's hard to visualize it because we're all, I'm gonna go with, we're all 45 and above, right? I'm looking around the room, I don't wanna get anybody. And it's hard to imagine how you learned how to read. Did I not get you?
No, I'm in that, I'm definitely in that group.
I don't think we want to assume.
I know, that's why I was like, okay, maybe, but it's, so when you think it's hard to remember how you learned, like what did you have and what you had at your hands, you're probably the one I knew I was gonna miss there, yeah, so. But, so there you go. So that's kind of when you think back at it, or if you go in and you do a reading, it's interesting. And we hear that, we have a program that's not in this, it's Real Men Read, and we have volunteers from across the community going into these kindergarten classrooms, and they're all like, oh my goodness, you just completely forget what it's like to be in those rooms. to have that age. And so helping anything that you do works, helps. So.
Other question, Jane? You have a question?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of touched on it. I just wanted to know how you anticipate the needs changing going forward with these enormous budget cuts. I mean, we saw the headline about reduction in $6 million in NCCS funding, and we know about the RIFs, or not RIFs, but we know about the not backfilling positions, and this money can't hire people, obviously, but I'm assuming you're a very busy person these days.
Yeah.
She is.
Yeah,
Coming from all directions.
It's coming from all directions, yeah, because the operational side is, it's tough. And when you get into education, a huge chunk of our budget it's people. So it's people.
Yeah, but we're doing a lot of work. Obviously in these times you have to really prioritize and be really focused and intentional. And I think hopefully Cirilla has felt a really aligned approach to our requests for funding. And so it's definitely, we're not requesting funding for frivolous items here. This is really critical, and which is both nice but also tough, right?
Of course.
So we'll see how our request changes next year. It's hard to predict, but I do anticipate it'll be quite different.
I do have a question. How are you determining which programs to, is it purely based on what the educators themselves would suggest? Or is there like a template that most of those in Indiana are using? How are you coming up with those specific ones?
For programs?
Mm-hmm.
For the literacy programs, or for any of them, it would be through reviewing research and evidence-based practices, and I mean that's really where it comes from. Teachers might have some suggestions from their experience, but we have a really strong team in our curriculum office that reviews all those resources to make sure they're aligned with research and evidence-based practices. So, yeah.
So where can we see some of that research?
We could provide some to you. Yeah. Did you note anything? Did Allison provide any?
They usually
from
don't.
Other grants, we could probably pull some of that we've used.
No,
I mean, it's okay. I mean, you're asking for pennies on the dollars that we really need.
Yeah.
And it would be helpful for some of us to have a better sense of what the research is showing us as a result of the cutbacks.
Okay, yeah. We can work on that. What would be the best way to share that information? Share it with
Distribute to the board.
Okay. Yeah. We can do that.
Yeah, a lot of it is going based on a lot of it they're looking at iLearn as well, like where are the holes, which schools have, where are those? And the literacy coaches, each school has a literacy coach, correct still?
Instructional coach.
Instructional coach. So there's instructional coaches inside of each of these buildings that
Elementary
are really,
schools.
in the elementary, that are really looking at where the evaluations are showing weaknesses in individual kids and how they build interventions in order to meet them at a one-to-one versus just at a full classroom load. So a lot of this is intervention. A lot of these are used for intervention resources, but they can also be used for that kid who is ready to pop up a little bit too. So.
And it's all based on data. So we have database, really robust database decision-making processes where we're doing universal screeners and seeing which students are struggling with which things, and then diagnostics to see why they might be struggling with that thing, and then we have resources and interventions that match that specific skill. So, there's that piece too. What do we need? What are our students struggling with most? And then what does the research say is the most effective practice there? And then trying to find a resource that matches it. It's quite complex. I always like the teaching reading is rocket science, t-shirts or mugs. It is rocket science. It's really challenging, which I think is shown just over the many years that we've been working on trying to find that silver bullet.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't exist because we're complex human beings. So, just have to be nimble and responsive. Yep.
Well, we're watching in our state and in our nation as more and more groups are expected to pick up the slack from what our state legislatures should be doing. And if there are ways we can have research that can help lobby legislators, I'd like to have it. I mean, I think there's some wonderful initiatives in town.
Yeah.
But every time I support those initiatives that really are substitute funding for what the legislature should be doing, I have a little heartburn. And I'm very supportive of your request. I wish we could give you more. But I think the deeper issue is around deep structural chasms. And it is, of course, the poor that suffer the most. So I appreciate these 3 schools. But we're really facing some serious issues, and I appreciate any research you could give to help.
Yeah, we'll get that to you.
Greenwood Field, maybe to track a group of children or that's going through the program to see their success with the diversion of going through these programs and see the outcome of it. Mm-hmm. To have that track of where they started versus where they ended up.
Yeah, certainly.
That would be a good research to show.
I'm sure that's what you would share in an update, right? In
Right.
the following year. I haven't been a part of one of those updates yet. But
Usually the updates will try to show you, like, if they were looking at literacy scores, what it was, their movement, was there any in that category. And a lot of these are kids that are in that below proficiency and approaching proficiency groupings. So we do have it. Unfortunately, it's not moving as fast as we would all love for it to move. But I think that's just a nationwide problem, and no one's quite sure why. So,
multifaceted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's multifaceted. It's not just what we do inside those 6 days that our 6 hours that we get them each day. It's beyond that. So
It's a community effort. That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, thank you
Appreciate it
very much.
So much.
Yeah. Thanks.
I think unless the committee has any other questions, thoughts, concerns, comments, or whatnot, I think we can take a vote on the request today for the $75,000 to support the 3 schools listed here through the MCCSC Foundation. So I would entertain a motion to approve the request today.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Great. And then if we could do an around the room, please, Phil.
Phil Amerson, yes.
Michael Hover, yes.
Kate Rosenberger, yes.
Jane Cooper-Smith, yes.
Virginia Gauthier, yes.
Heather Robinson, yes.
Mary Morgan, yes.
Elisa Spinelli, yes.
And there would be no opposed. Thank you. That was the yes from everybody.
Okay.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that will be reflected in the budget for the 2025-26 budget, I believe.
So the 2026 budget?
Yeah, the 2026 budget. Sorry.
Yeah. So
I'm Fred.
If the disbursement typically hits November, December, wouldn't it hit this budget then?
We usually sign the contract in November,
Oh,
December, and then the
gotcha.
disbursement happens at the beginning of the year,
Okay.
if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
But we'll have it out by January.
Okay. Good deal. All right.
So
Thank
was
you,
this
Dee.
just a fluke that the?
Yes, it 100% was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
Go ahead. I think we have some financials to talk about. Is that right? All right. Woohoo.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
all so much. All right. I'm Cheryl. I'm thinking, thank you for having all of the financials here. Maybe unless others have a preference, we could focus on September because that's going to give us everything in.
Yeah, actually, I thought I would be like the Q3 because that goes through September. So that's right on target with what you.
Yeah.
I mean, the overall.
Yeah, because
Like
we've got
Q3.
June, July.
Yeah.
No, we've got July, August, September here, and the different
Yes.
balance sheets and all of that. So.
So you have that as all the details.
All the
so I thought I
detail.
could just do like Q3, which is just really your budget versus actual
Okay.
through September 30th.
Do we pull that up?
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
if
you
you
want
want
to
to,
get that
that'd
on
be-
screen, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Where do we look for this? Is this
So
the most
you want the
recent
one-
packet?
I sent an amendment.
Just the Q3 financials?
Yes, I sent
Okay.
I sent it separately from the rest of the packet.
So it's gonna be the one. Yeah, because I
Oh,
just,
I think it's
I just wanted you to
the
have
last.
everything. Yeah, there you go.
This guy?
So, yeah, but one page earlier, 34, will get you started there. Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody can see that. So, so for quarter three, basically going through September 31st, or 30th rather. On the income side,
I can't make it any bigger right now. Go ahead.
okay, yeah. So you've generated $766,622.82, which is above your budget, which was $458,780, and that is a direct reflection of Catalent catching up in previous years. So if you took that out, you're right on target of having brought in your income for the year. In addition, you had $3,663.71 generated from your CDs, and you'll see that's at the very bottom of this particular document. So, so you need to include that in addition to your regular income. On the expense side, overall, you have expended 40.6% of your budget, which totals $257,354.52. The details of the expense comes from your different categories of administration. You've spent 8.3% of your budget, and this is low because of the outstanding administrative payment owed to ESD, and we'll get that process. So you'll see that go up in the next quarter. In the grants category, you've spent 46.3% of your budget, which is $538,500. That's your budget, and of that, you've spent $249,393.52.
Can I just one comment on
Sure.
that? And I had emailed Dee about this, knowing that we had the MCCSC Foundation presentation
Yes.
today.
Yes.
I looked and I saw the $100,000 there, and so that raised a question for me. So I think that's just an entry error. So
Yes.
technically, our total grant expense is just
It's-
under 200,000 once that adjustment is made.
Yes, you are correct. So, yeah. If you get down into the details of the different categories of your grants, I will point that out as well. So under the arts and culture, you've expended 14.4% of your $260,000 budget. Of that, you'll see you haven't spent the $100,000 in your arts incubator, and then nothing out of your city arts program. So those are like two big things that haven't been expended out of arts and culture. So I'm not sure if
We're working on that.
working on those. Okay.
We're working on that 100,000.
Yeah, so just, there's, like today, you've got a lot of other grants that are gonna be coming through, but this is just where you are right now. So then, the second is the education and entrepreneurship. It shows here that you've expended 60.8% of your $76,000 budget. So that one is going as planned. Under education grants, I'm showing, and this is where the error is showing up. I'm showing that you have overspent, but that $100,000 for MCCSC is actually only $50,000, because I had it marked as a $50,000 distribution, and then it came in as 2 individual. There was an error in there, so that has to be corrected. So it will show 50,000 in your next report. Then under your zone improvements grants, you've expended 48.8% of your $135,000 budget. So you're halfway there, and again, you probably have more grants probably that are coming this month, so that I've seen come through. So so overall, you've actually, I think, you've expended better this year than you did last year, and your income is perfect. So so you're on target. So so the second page shows your total expense there.
Which will actually go up. Our net income will go up $50,000 once that adjustment is made for this.
Yeah.
So
and you'll see that actually when I send the for next month, when I'll just do the one for October. You'll see that corrected. So
I think it's worth just noting our total current assets are $3.4 million. We've seen about a $540,000 increase just from, I think, July. And I know a big part of that is catalents and whatnot, but we have tipped $3 million. So I think that, that's quite a pot of money for us as an organization, and just to put some awareness around that's, we have quite a few funds there. And this will, ultimately lead into some of our budget discussion, of course, and then just what is our future revenue stream look like. And so those will be some discussions to come. But I think just, kind of making a point in everyone awareness that we have over $3 million in assets at this time. So, all right. Thank you.
And then I think all of your, they're listed as, I think, assets, all of your RRF loans. I think I'll have a discussion with Dee on how that needs to be reflected in this reporting.
Right.
Because if you're gonna write some off, and just how that needs to be
right
documented and reflected.
Right.
You don't just go in and say zero and I'm out. I mean, because it ends up being a loss.
Right.
So
they'll have to move from the balance sheet to the income statement, and we'll record it as an expense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that process has to happen.
Yeah.
And if we wait to do it at the end of the year, after you know exactly which one, or do it all at once, or if you wanted to staggered, we can talk about that. So
can I make a request?
Yeah.
So we'll be likely looking at a proposed or draft budget at our next meeting. And then we had a number of questions come up over the last couple of months about grant eligibility and our bylaws, and I know there's a bigger conversation about where we're going with revenue and the strategic focus of the group, but in the short term, when we're budgeting for 2026, if we could really ground ourselves in the bylaws before we start the budget discussions, I'd really appreciate that. And I think doing that here in this meeting would be really helpful, because then it's shared with the public.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were going to kind of have some of that discussion here. I know we're nearing time, Dee, but you had put that in your report, correct?
Yeah.
So with that, so are there any other questions on financials for this? If none, we do need a motion to approve, but I'd like to make a note that the approval would be contingent or reflective of the $50,000 adjustment that will be made, so that that will be corrected for the next group of financials that we will take a look at. So is there
And this is for the quarter.
This is for the quarter. Yeah, so this will take us through Q3, September 30, 2025.
So I would move approval of the Q3 2025 financials as presented with the exception of a $50,000 adjustment in the grants category.
Second.
And then around the room, Phil.
Bill Amerson, yes.
Michael Hoper, yes.
Kate Rosenbarger, yes.
Jane Cooper Smith, yes.
Virginia Gathiri, yes.
Heather Robinson, yes.
Mary Morgan, yes.
Felicia Spinelli, yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, Dee, your report.
So, really quickly, my director's report is pretty short because I wanted us to move along. If I can find it. So I'll have a couple of outstanding grants for your review for the November meeting. With that, I would like to ask the board if we could potentially extend the meeting in November by 30 minutes so we have time to take care of outstanding business aside from the budget. I would say 30 minutes before the meeting as opposed to after the meeting because I know a lot of people have to go to things afterwards. So
that's November 12th.
Yes.
And you're suggesting we start at 11:30 and go until 1 o'clock?
Yes.
And I'll be out of the country.
Okay.
So
Are you going someplace good?
It better be good. It better be good.
yeah. Oh, I have to tell you after the meeting. I wish you all could come. But, yeah, I won't even be in the country.
Okay.
Oh,
So,
we'll miss you.
I know I'll miss y'all too.
Okay.
Works for me.
All right,
Yeah,
so
that's
yeah,
Okay.
good. So,
Is that gonna be an issue with like, do we need quorum to have that
yes,
discussion?
yes.
So is
Yes.
it maybe like, is there a better day to move that, like a week ahead or something?
But
it just
Are you
seems-
available, Michael?
Yeah, I'll be available. for
Okay.
whatever.
So I think we might have quorum.
If everybody else.
If we're the only one
What's his
that's-
name?
Are you available, Felisa?
His name is not here today.
Oh, Brad.
Brad.
You're
yeah,
on
he
mute.
can be here.
You're on mute, hun.
Okay.
Oh, you are still on mute, Felissa.
Okay. So we're speaking of the first week of November?
November 12th.
It would be the meeting would be November 12th that we are looking for an extension for that meeting. There's nothing that prevents me from moving it.
At 11:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will be fine. I will be available.
1, 2, 3, 4,
I'm good.
5, 6. So that still gives us quorum as long as everybody can show up.
Right, and Brad may
And Brad may potentially
be able to.
be able
join
to.
too.
Okay. We don't do we need to vote on that? I think it's fine,
I don't
right?
think, yeah, I don't
Okay.
think we need to vote on that. It just send a update to that meeting calendar invite, so everyone will remember, because I'll forget
Okay.
if it's not on my
And on the
calendar.
website.
Yes, I will change all of that.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. As we saw, the Catalan payment is received. I will put proof of it in the packet. Thank you all so much for your patience on that. I'm very excited that has happened. Another thing that I'm working on is a calendar for 2026. So every meeting will pretty much be kind of charted out. Like the thing is that every October, it always ends up being CDFI and MCCSC reporting. There are certain months where like something is just going to happen, no matter what I want to actually happen for the meeting. So I'm going to go with the natural flow and try and get things sorted out. I think this will also help with grant reviews and things like that, just kind of being able to stack them up in a way that is digestible for everyone and everybody kind of knows what's coming and it's like, oh, I'm gonna miss this meeting because of whatever. It will help you all plan your schedules accordingly. So, and then finally, and I know we're very low on time, but I did add the scoring rubric that the board requested. So this is just to establish a consistent awarding practice and provide clear communication to applicants and partners who we work with when they want to tell potential applicants about it. So the questions I asked were, how will the board use this? How will the board consider granting funds to businesses outside of the zone? Or will the board consider granting funds outside of the zone? And if so, what are the parameters of qualification? So you asked and I gave you. So what do you think?
Yeah. Thank you, first of all, Dee, for the rubric. I think it's well done, and it will be very helpful. And I think, there are a couple pieces of discussion in there. But as Jane mentioned earlier, in just all of you, I know we've been in discussions for grants that have come before us this year that have been outside of the zone, and we've struggled in trying to really decide, how we want to treat that. And I think that we need to make a solid decision on what are we absolutely 100% always sticking to businesses, organizations, nonprofits, whatever, in the zone, or do we have some piece of that has some flexibility, which the rubric would help with? And if so, how do we define that flexibility? What is that piece, And so I know we don't have a lot of time today, and I don't expect that we'll fully get this answered, but I'd like to at least start that discussion and get, thoughts about that. I know we struggled with kind of the Hazen insurance grant that was before us, and one of the main factors was it was just a business outside of the zone, and we still have First Christian Church, which is like right on the line of the zone. And so, and we've had some precedent, I will say, where we funded something, 4th Street Arts Festival, again, on the line of the zone, but the huge impact, the economic impact that it has to the zones, the impact that it has on the residents and businesses of the zone. So I would like to be quiet and hear from the the others on the board. I will, and I'd love to hear some thoughts.
Can I tee up Alex before we have our,
yes.
And I'll also be quiet because I do a lot of talking, but Alex, have you done a legal review of our bylaws? Are we restricted? Are there any gray areas in terms of whether we're funding outside of the zone?
So I was thinking it might be good to do a legal memo on that subject, and I can look at case law, I can look at statute, it's going to be ways, and I can look at the bylaws and kind of give you some guidance on that legally. Okay. That would be helpful.
Yes.
Very helpful. Yes.
Did Katz pick that up? Did you get that audio? Okay.
I do have a general question quickly. Is there a way to I think it would be a little oppressive possibly for the organizations or businesses, but is there a way to request that everyone show their impact to the resident? I don't even know how that could be feasible, because again, sometimes it's sensitive to ask those questions, especially let's say like for First Christian Church. Mm-hmm. If someone is coming and has a need and is not necessarily in the zone, you're not going to turn them away if they have a need, right? Mm-hmm. So there's service to a person, but they may not be living in the zone. But I guess I'm trying to ascertain whether there's a way to.
Well, we do have some sort of precedent for that because of our support of Ivy Tech.
Oh.
Because they're clearly outside of the zone. Yeah. But when they report, they show us how many zone residents they've helped or whatnot, and the effect that has, the impact that it has provided. Right. So there is some precedent for that. But when you start talking about they track numbers because they are an educational institution. But when we're talking about nonprofits, businesses, that's some different and potentially dicey territory. So it's not that we haven't asked, it's that we've only asked certain institutions that actually just formally carry those numbers.
Not really the nonprofit status isn't what makes it dicey. It's that, okay, Ivy Tech has access to data that clearly demonstrates their zone impact, and they can kind of segregate that and show that they're targeting their activities in the zone. But other nonprofits might not be that sophisticated. Other
Right.
groups might not they just might not be able to do it.
And it may not be quantifiable in some
To your
ways.
point,
So if
yeah.
First Christian Church is helping someone, maybe, I don't know all of the programs that they offer, but if, maybe the unhoused population or others in need, their services provided to them are then directly impactful to the businesses downtown or in the zone, that would be adjacent to that are in the zone. Because then, just using that as an example, I'm not trying to stereotype or anything, but if someone, gets a meal there or gets, some services or help, then it's less likely to maybe those challenges may be less likely to have, an effect on maybe businesses or those in the zone. So that's hard to quantify, right? That's information that's kind of hard to say. Yeah. So, okay. All right,
I think
everyone.
this looks good though, and I think like getting that memo from Alex would be good too, because
agreed.
I think I think the rubric it looks great and looks like it like follows like the legal definitions for BUEA already, but I think just like diving a little deeper with Alex would be good on that.
So I'm gonna put this topic at the top of the agenda for the next meeting so we can get through it and move forward.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you, Dee, for your work on that.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.
We have a certificate this year.